Welcome to the show, Ladies of Lawncare. You are my final guest of the season, and really looking forward to chatting with you tonight and just kind of seeing how everything rolls out. And what I'll do, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience here.
Sure. My name is Kristin, and I am a married mom of 3 daughters. This is one of my daughters, Maddie. You can say hi.
Hi.
Say hi. My husband and I both do lawn care. I am currently learning the industry and enjoying it. And the goal is for me to eventually be able to do most of it on my own next year while my kids are in school. This coming school year. My husband is a teacher, so he works during the day. But yeah, that's just a little quick summary of my background.
And you're in Florida, right?
Yes, sorry, I should have included that. Yes, we're in Florida.
So you're out there with that warm season grass. So that's cool. I At this point right now, I wish I was in Florida because it's freaking cold here and I freaking hate it.
Yeah, I know. It gets cold here for like 2 or 3 days at a time, and I am in complete misery. I don't like the cold at all. I am unmotivated when it's cold. I swear I have old bones. Like, I am a true native Floridian. I cannot do the cold.
I hear you. So what is the type of grass that you deal with the most? Is it like, I know you said you personally have, people say it differently, Bahia?
Yeah, that's what we have.
Like the LCM person.
Yeah. I have only ever heard it pronounced Bahia, but it could be Bahia. I mean, you know more than me, but yes, we have what we call like the cheap grass, the cheap Florida grass, whatever, the free grass that you don't have to water a lot. At our house, we don't have fancy grass, but we mow a lot of that. We mow a lot of, we do mow a lot of St. Augustine. We have a lot of clients that have that. So they obviously have to water that even with the rainy season, because in the summertime, it gets so hot during the day and the sun is so strong that it'll kill that grass if you don't water it every day. And it doesn't always rain every day in the summer. So we go through dry periods.
Right.
But yeah, that's really mostly the main two. And then we have a lot of clients that just have straight up weeds. I mean, like, just, there's no grass. It's just dirt and weeds, and weeds. And that's a lot of it right now.
So you have clients that have just weeds. What is the service they're asking for on their yard?
So in Florida, in Florida, I mean, weeds will grow and look like grass. They will literally grow and look like grass. And so in the summertime, those weeds will jump up a whole foot in a week. And they'll, their yards will be, it could be mixed in with grass, but we have a variety of different clients and yards that we do, but the weed ones seem to grow the fastest in the summer. So yeah, we got to, we'll weed whack that, or, I'll hit it with the lawnmower or whatever, but definitely the weeds can look like grass, like in the summertime, trimmed very low.
Okay. Gotcha. I know that, so I think people have said in the community, everything looks better with a fresh cut, with a fresh mow.
Yeah.
So even weeds are going to look good, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. We have, so my husband being a teacher, this was initially his side hustle. And then, I kind of decided that with having 3 kids, one with a disability, my schedule and my time is very difficult to manage. And I like being available to my kids all the time. So he had gotten to the point where he had so many yards, and he was working so much every weekend and like nights after school. And I asked him, I said, would it be less on you to have somebody help you? And he's like, yeah, definitely. And so I said, do you want to hire somebody? He's like, no, because if I hire somebody, then, we have to split the money. And I said, well, what if I learned how to do it? Yeah. So initially I started just like to help him out in the summertime so that, he wasn't working so much, and killing himself in the heat. And then I realized, I was like, wow, this is actually fun. It's relaxing. It's enjoyable. For the most part, stress here and there. And then in the last year, I decided that I would like to make it like a full-time income on my end, and go out. My goal is to be able to go out and do, probably somewhere between 15, 20 yards a week myself, when all three of my kids are in school during the day, so that I'm available to them. We have our weekends free again and our evenings free. So, yeah, I mean, and really, to be quite honest, in Florida, because there's always work to be done. I could make just as much money, if not more, than what I previously did for work, and have way less hours of actual work that I'm putting in time. So, as long as I physically can do it and I don't injure my back, my shoulders, or hurt myself anymore.
Hit yourself in the face with a branch.
Hey, I might have to start putting on one of those like helmets on my head so that I'm not, because I'm clumsy to begin with. So it's just, my husband has been like concerned about my well-being and level of clumsiness, but so far so good. I've only almost flipped the lawnmower once. So.
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
Yeah, I was on this dirt embankment. Again, one of our yards that we have, it's a huge yard. It's almost a full acre, which is rare to find in Florida. Like a lot of the neighborhoods, you don't find houses that are on, big lots like that. But this lot has a lot of hills, and the pits have, when it rains in the summer, they're full of mud. And so it's easy to get the mower stuck. So I was trying to avoid that. So I went up on one of the sides of the embankment and the mower slid. I was going sideways. Really scary moment. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He wasn't very happy with me, but yeah.
Well, so you mentioned your husband. How is it? I think I saw you in the chat when I had Hollie on, and they were talking about working together and how it's brought them a little bit closer together. How is it working with your husband?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We get along for the most part. He's supportive of me. He wants me to be happy, and he wants me to be able to bring in an income, that doing something that I'm going to enjoy, and that he has to hear little complaining. So the only thing that he's like really concerned about when I'm on my own is if something happens, if the mower gets stuck, or I have an issue with some equipment that I'm not able to handle on my own. So that's, that we get in little discussions. I won't call them arguments, but we get in discussions about those things. Because that is something that I still have to, I've only been really doing it probably about 6 months. So, like restringing the weed whacker is something that I can just now do. I was telling you earlier about backing the mower off the trailer. God, that took me 4 months to be able to have the guts to do, because I was so scared that I was going to back that thing off the side of the trailer. And, I've had a couple of incidences where I've cost us some money already with the mower. So, but we generally get along pretty well. He's a super, super supportive, positive guy. So, we don't have too many issues. And we actually do enjoy our time together, because we don't get many date nights with having 3 kids. So we'll go, we'll mow some yards, and then we'll go get our Taco Bell, and we'll eat our Taco Bell and be like, it's just, we're on a date, even though I'm covered in dirt and I've got grass all over my face. I know he still just enjoys his lovely looking wife.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So tell you mentioned your equipment. Emily wants to know a little bit about what equipment you use. So tell us a little bit about your equipment.
Sure, Emily. So it's something super exciting. I was sharing with PJ earlier that when my husband started this as a side hustle, it was really just, we had our last daughter, and I decided I wasn't going to go back to my old job. So, we needed a little bit extra income just for like the kids' extracurriculars and stuff like that. So he's like, as a teenager, I always mowed grass. He's like, I'll just mow, see if any of the neighbors need their yards cut, and I'll go out there with our push mower. So he started with the push mower, and he did that for a while. And then he decided he really enjoyed it. And he's like, you know what? I would love to get a 0 turn. So we researched, because in Florida, in a lot of the yards that we do have backyards, and the backyards are large. And so you want to be able to fit your mower through the gate, right? So a lot of the ride-ons are really wide, and they're too wide to fit through a gate. So we actually found a 36-inch residential Hustler Raptor lawnmower that we bought. We bought it brand new, probably about 4.5 years ago. So that's our mower. And it's got approximately, I looked today so that I would know this information, it's got about 520 hours on it, roughly. So I don't know in the world of lawnmower life how much life it really has left, but it's been pretty good to us. Like I said, I did something to it over the summer. So the same yard that I almost flipped the mower in has the wet grass, right? And so a lot of our clients, we probably shouldn't allow this, but we do allow some of them to go longer. Like we get paid per mow. We don't have anybody on contracts. They pay us when they need their yard mowed. So this particular client had very tall grass. It was wet. I did not realize that the grass was collecting under the deck of the mower. And so I kept pulling out what I could see, but I guess it was getting stuck up in the spindle. And so it burned up the belts, it burned up the spindle, the whole thing was smoking. Wow. It was a whole drama. And that cost us quite a bit of money to repair that. But other than that, the mower's been great. It's a good, trusty, we call it like our, what did he call it the other day? Like our Toyota Celica of mowers. So
So
it's been pretty good. Like you still see those cars on the road. So it's been a good. Yeah. And then, so as far as our other equipment, it's all residential, I believe, just gas, Echo. We have an Echo blower, not backpack blower, an Echo edger and an Echo weed whacker. They're all Echo products. Okay. And so they've all been good. You know, we're not the best about, maintaining the things on our own. And that was something I was sharing with PJ is that Hollie and Niles Mower, they have motivated us, or I should say more me, to do a lot of our own maintenance and save a lot of money and time, really time for us more like it. But so we're going to start getting better about that. But we successfully completed our first oil change and blade change on our mower. So we're feeling good about that.
So with that being said, have you all talked at all about battery equipment?
Yeah, actually. So I know that conversation was interesting last week because like everything in life, there's pros and cons. There's two sides. There's, everything in life is two sides. My husband actually most recently has had some shoulder issues. He had to actually get a cortisone shot in his shoulder. And again, we don't know if it's from all the, if you think about it, we do 10 yards in a day. That's cranking those pull strings 100 times in a day easily. Right. So that's definitely wear and tear on his shoulder. So we were kind of talking about the benefits of the electric would be that, it's just right. Isn't it just a button that you push and it starts up? But like my concern with those is, and I would always keep the gas just for like backup because I think the technology's there, just like with the cars. Like I think the technology's there. I just think that it's always good to have plan B. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have, let's say, we're out doing 10 yards a day and the battery dies and we don't have a way to charge it or, you know what I'm saying? Like you just, I don't know. I think it's great for.
Yeah, I've seen like people with the, the backup stations and the charging stations, but I don't know where I recently heard someone say something that I hadn't heard before, but they're going to battery and then the gas mower will be there as a backup if anything happens with the battery mower. So having the gas more so as a backup as opposed to the first go-to, I think is what a lot of people are thinking.
Yeah, definitely. Like we talked about, maybe not for the mower yet. I mean, definitely, like I'm all about technology. So to me, like whatever comes out, I will definitely be, keeping our pulse on like, how it's going. But I think we talked about possibly doing a battery powered string trimmer next, just to start with that to see, because we only have one and we do want two. So we talked about doing that, but still having obviously our gas one just to see, how it is. And if it's the beauty about lawn equipment is that this is the other thing. The beauty about it is if you get something and you don't like it, you could turn around and sell it on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever. Like you're always going to get at least some of your money back out of it, Yeah. So, I mean, to make the investment in it and it be, if it works out well, I think would be worth it because you're saving the gas and you're obviously the biggest thing is he would be saving his shoulder. But yeah, we're totally open to trying it out for sure.
Yeah. You said if you don't like it, you're going to like it. If you try it, you're going to like it. There's so many pros to it. It's just crazy.
Well, remember how you were saying you like the way things smell? So like I'm a weirdo and I actually like the way the gas smells and I like
gas smells
because
give me a headache.
I know. Well, you know what? To be honest, it does give me a headache, but it's like, okay, I'm at work type smell now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I'm like, all right, I'm here.
yeah.
I'm ready to work. It like pumps me up. But it was such a hurdle. This is the other thing. It was such a hurdle for me to be able to crank these machines that now when I do it, I feel strong and I feel powerful. And I don't want to
Hmm.
lose that feeling.
Yeah. Once your arm starts hurting, you're gonna want to
Oh,
lose
I
that
know.
feeling.
That's what Dad said. He's like, yeah, as soon as you start waking up middle of the night with shoulder pain, you're gonna think different. But
Yeah, like I've had
Mhm.
a shoulder
Yeah.
injury, arm injury for a few months
Yeah.
now. I'm not really still not sure what it is, but I
Oh,
couldn't imagine having to crank something with
yeah.
this. Like,
He was definitely struggling. Like I said, he finally went in just last week and he got a cortisone shot, and they said they'll do it a couple more times, but if it continues to bother him or it wears off, they're looking at that he'll have to get the shoulder surgery. So yeah, that's
yeah,
definitely. And again,
yeah,
I don't know for sure if that's what it is. He doesn't know. Like I said, he played a lot of
yeah,
sports when he was younger. So it could be anything, but it definitely is inflamed and it hurts when he has to, when he has to crank those machines.
yeah.
So
So Emily was saying that she's had a cub cadet that caught on fire 3 times.
oh
So
yeah,
I mean, and battery equipment is not immune to that. As we saw at
yeah,
GIE, we saw the DeWalt catch on fire. So I mean,
yeah,
anything can happen with this equipment.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely a concern. The thing is we keep our stuff out in a shed. So like, although I guess we'd have to still bring it in because you have to charge it. So that would, yeah, never mind on that. We have a shed that we keep the mower and all our stuff in. So it's not in our garage, but yeah,
Yeah.
I
Well,
was,
so she's, Emily also has another comment, which is very interesting. There's so many different ways to set up for battery because it's coming. I know lots of people don't want to hear it, they want to stick with gas, but it's coming and it's gonna take over. So she's like, they have solar panels on the top of the truck, which is
yeah.
connected to a converter that charges the batteries. I'm actually looking into the solar power situation as well to replace my gas generator that's been in the shop now for 2 weeks, and I don't even want it back.
Yeah. I think we have the same generator you were talking about. We have a gas one too. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are ways to do it, and maybe, just kind of investing a little bit at
Yeah.
a time, because those solar panels and the converters were on sale big time during this last holiday season.
Okay.
And I was this close to buying it. I mean, it was really good prices. So
Yeah.
you just got to watch out for that stuff.
Yeah, I mean solar technology in Florida, I don't know about where everybody lives, but it's big here. I mean, a lot of people like our
Mhm.
neighbors have solar panels on their roof that powers their home. We actually have solar panels for our swimming pool. They heat the pool.
Mhm.
So I definitely think, like I said, like a lot of ways the technology is there.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I obviously, it's the best of both worlds until, it's kind of like vehicles. I feel like I would love to have a hybrid because you still have the gas if you need it, and then you've got the hybrid option. But
Yeah, so like what Abigail and Jacqueline are saying here from Jar Landscaping. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're from LOL last season. They were on the first season, but they use an Echo, which I'm assuming this model is probably a battery trimmer, because
okay.
they're saying they still keep the gas one with them.
Yes,
For
I'm reading the comment. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we've said. We're like, yeah, well, when we buy our next piece, we're probably going to get a battery
Mhm.
operated. So the Echo, yeah, awesome. That's awesome to know. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so just the conversation here, like there are lots of companies who are thinking about like doing those types of things. I mean, my only advice would be to stay ahead of the curve and don't fall behind the curve, with making the transition, because I think it's probably going to be good for everybody at
Yeah,
some
I
point.
I agree. I agree. And I think, like with Holly last week, they were saying, as far as like it hurting their business, they the thing is like those things, don't they still have to be repaired? They still have components that break. They still have, I'm sure things that have, on the string trimmer, you still have the spring in there and all those things that have to be.
Yeah. But like Don was saying, it's a different type of repair. He's like, you have to be
Yeah.
an electrical engineer to know. And I don't
Yeah.
know. It seems like when you think about it from our perspective, it seems like it'd be a lot easier to service those machines. But coming from someone who's been doing the gas and kind of, I'm sure he's researched, how or what would be needed to repair the battery. So you got to kind of take that too. Like, well, maybe it's not so easy.
Yeah, maybe not. I know. That's the thing. Everything, it's all learning. If you think about, 50 years ago, there was no such thing as a zero turn mower, right? So, I mean, that technology comes and we evolve with it.
Yeah. Mommy. All right. So let's see as far as your day to day, what is it that you find most challenging when you're out there? And before we get into that, I do want to mention Dan the Lawn Man is in the chat. I think he's following you. Dan is a huge supporter of the females in the community, and he's actually in Florida as well. So
cool.
It's just interesting to hear what your day to day is. I know Dan has shared a lot of things on Instagram about the things he's going through because, of course, us cool season folks are watching you warm season folks right now because you actually have grass to deal with.
Yeah. We had a freeze a couple weeks ago. And so, actually the freeze we had over Christmas is just now showing up on a lot of our clients' lawns. Like they have brown spots, burnt spots. So we had some that we told them straight up, like, we don't think we should mow your grass because it's already so burnt and crispy, like just water it. So what we're actually doing. So you're asking day to day. Sorry, I won't get off task.
Yeah.
Right now, typically day to day in the summertime. So my husband, because this is pretty much as of right now, still his business and he knows all the clients. I'm just getting to know them. So he sets up, he'll send a text out. Hey, we're out working, who needs their yard cut? So we'll go and mow. Typically we have anywhere between 10 and 15 in a weekend. And then there's a few during the week. So total, we probably have a total of 20 to 25 regular clients, I would say. And a lot of them, like I said, we don't do contracts or anything. So a lot of them, their grass, for whatever reason, grows at different rates. Some of them can go 3 weeks. Some of them go 2 weeks. Some of them want it done every week. That's fine. For us, again, it's mostly, as of right now, just a side income. But again, the hope is for me to have it be my main income. So I may change some of that once I kind of take things over. I may start doing the contract thing and all that. But day to day, we basically load up the trailer, go out and mow. He does not like to do a lot of the cleanup jobs, like the hedges and all that. So, and you guys know, there's certain clients that are easier to deal with than others, and certain ones we will do it for because, they're super cool. They're super nice. They're understanding. They're, do it, when you can get to it type thing. Cause if we've got 10 yards to do and only so much sunlight, we can't do a 2-hour trimming job that day. There's no way we're going to be able to fit that in. So, some of them.
So that's when the scheduling comes in, right? If you
exactly
wants that, yeah.
And in the winter time, we like to do those type of jobs. But I mean, day to day, it just depends. He, like I said, my husband sets up all the jobs per se for us, and then I just kind of go and do what he tells me to do. If he wants to mow, we try to take turns. Like, obviously we both like mowing. I mean, who doesn't? The lawnmower, it's like driving like a RC, or not an RC car, but what do you call it? Power Wheels car. Like, I feel like I'm like riding my little, like when I was a kid and I had the 4-wheeler. It's fun. So we take turns because obviously the weed whacking and the trimming is not, that's quite a workout at times, depending on whose yard it is. So we take turns, and then he, again, he tells me what I need to do and I do it. Cause I'm still learning all the, not to get too close to the side of this, or, the string trimmer, especially the St. Augustine. Oh God, I stress out on the St. Augustine grass because when you got to go around the trees with the string trimmer, I'm scared I'm going to scalp it too low. So sometimes I leave it too high, and then my husband is super type A. So he'll go back over and he literally will like measure the blade of grass and be like, look what you missed.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
So what actual services do you offer? Mowing? Do you do any fertilizing or anything like that?
No fertilizing. We mow, we edge, we will weed whack around the areas that we cannot mow or edge, and we blow everything off. And that is the basics. And then, of course, like I said, we will do some cleanup jobs for some of our clients if they request it. Actually, Chad did do for a client of ours. She asked him to get up on the roof and blow the leaves off. So every once in a while, we'll do something like that. But I was actually also asked to pressure wash somebody's walkway, and we own a pressure washer, and I hesitate to do that because ours is, it's not a commercial pressure washer. Would it do the job? Sure. My husband does not think that I should offer to do it, even though I'm debating on doing it because I like this particular client. Obviously can tell I'm chatty. So like I will sit there and make friends with these people, whereas he's business, he gets in, he gets out, we're done, boom, bing. And I'm knowing the life story.
I found your story about the eye injury interesting. So can you share that story with us? How you got the
my face.
Yeah.
Was it my
Oh no, it was your lip. It was your lip. I'm sorry.
My lip. Yeah. I got a little lip piercing. It's healed now. Thank God. So 3 weeks ago. Was it 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago. So we have a client that asked us to trim her palm trees. So in Florida, we have these palm trees that they grow out from the bottom, but you as you trim them, the trunk, that's how the trunk is basically formed. So it takes years for these palm trees to have the certain look. So we trimmed all these palm trees for her, and I was filming it because I was like, oh, this will be a cool before and after video. And as I have the clippers up there, I have them up like this. Now these palms, they're not common to have thorns, but for whatever reason, I have no idea. I've never seen this in my life. And I'm a native Floridian, but they have huge thorns on the branches. And I mean, big thorns. So as I have the thing up there, the clippers up there, I tell my husband, I'm like, Chad, watch out. As I'm saying that, it falls down, hits me in the face. Now I'm wearing my glasses, to protect my eyes because I'm always worried about my eyes, but never anything else. So it hits me right here in the face, pierced my lip, bleeding. I go look over. I'm in I forget that I have my phone. The camera's going. I'm bleeding.
Yeah.
So obviously it was a pretty deep injury, but I cleaned it, and we didn't want to leave because we didn't finish the job, and we didn't want to leave all the we had to drag it all out. And anyway, so I just threw a Band-Aid on it. Didn't think much of it. I got home and I'm like, ooh, that probably needs a stitch. And I didn't want it to scar, but I put some liquid bandage on. Well, when I put the liquid bandage on, I glued my lips together.
Oh my God. You didn't tell me that part.
Yeah, I came out. I'm like, I can't open my whole mouth. My husband's like, good.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So, I think when you told me about that, you were telling me you were basically helping someone out that needed it done. So that leads me to my next question is, what is your customer base like?
So it's like a really wide variety. We have a lot of customers that live, within our general neighborhood area, residential area. So my husband's a teacher, and we have a lot of teachers, and in Florida, teachers don't make a ton of money. So we always feel for the, educators. And so this particular client of ours, she is a single mom, and she has a daughter in high school, and she doesn't have a ton of money. She had gotten a quote to get these palms trimmed, and it was she's like, it was over $1,000. So we were like, she's one that also is just the thing about us. And, like I said, this landscaping for us is a side income. And so it's not our main income. And our clients all know that we have 3 kids. We have a daughter with a disability. They all have their activities. They're all busy. So they are always super cool if we're like, hey,
that's good.
We can't come Saturday. We're going to come Sunday. Or, hey, my daughter, I have to take my daughter to the doctor, or Chad has a doctor. He's had a lot of doctor's appointments come up. So people are super cool about not expecting their yard to be done Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning every week. So we always try to go out of our way, to help people. So we did her trees for her very cheap, very cheap for the amount of hours it took. Yeah, we probably made about $10 an hour each. But again, it made for a great video. I got a lovely parting gift, and It was a great time. Quality time with the husband.
Well, let's take a quick look at your slides here that you gave us to kind of look at, and I wanted to come in on this because you have a lovely family, and I know that one of the main reasons you all do this is for the family. You can save yourself some time by not working the typical 40 plus hours a week. So it's kind of give everybody a nice little look at your family here, which is it's awesome. Looks like you have 3 girls and a couple of fur babies,
2 dogs,
and an awesome husband.
Yep. I am a lucky mom. I'm a lucky lady.
There you go.
Yeah, we've been married. It'll be 15 years in August already. So it's crazy to think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
That's awesome. Let's see if it gives us a better view here. No, let's go back to here and look at it this way. That's the biggest I can get it up there. So one of these is just like an example of a cleanup that you did, it looks like.
Yes, and I did this one legit all by myself this day, like alone, nice. Totally alone, no help from my husband. Yeah, I did that. That's a front of a house, and that was a bear, I'll tell you that. Those vines were no joke. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was getting into. Uh-huh. They were grown in through his gutters. Like I had to get up into the gutter. Wow. And I'm about 5'2". So even standing on the top of the ladder.
You got me by an inch.
Yeah, that was I know, right? It's like, wouldn't it be great if we were a little taller? Just a little bit. So not only did I do the front of that house, but I had another video that I made on my Instagram, and I know you couldn't do videos, but where he had a whole fence line that was covered in those vines. And that day I had gas hedge trimmers, gas hedge trimmers. And that job took me about almost 6 hours total.
Wow. So that was the only one you did that day, right?
Oh, it was the only one I did that day. In fact, I was almost late picking my kids up from school. And that day, I almost quit that day because the gas hedge trimmers, it had rained. So in Florida, this was over the summer, it rains for an hour and then it stops and the sun comes out and everything is wet and sticky and dries up. So my gas hedge trimmers got rained on and I couldn't get them to start. So I ended up having to do almost all of that yard by hand without the gas hedge trimmers. So I was mad that day, but I thought the before and after on that one was like incredible. And I was so proud because I did it all by myself.
Oh yeah, you should be. Every job you do, you should be proud of. That's awesome. All right, let's look at
and then me on the mower there. That's where I was digging. I sent you that one because I knew I was talking about this when I broke the spindle. This wasn't that day, but that's how I basically
with all of that grass coming out.
Yeah, all that grass backing up in there. And I've asked this question before, like if that's a common issue or maybe that's like our lawnmower, that's not having the commercial one. I don't know, but we'll take a string and we'll tie up the flap. But the problem with doing that is then the grass sprays all over the place. So it's like either that or you have to literally stop every 20 seconds and unload all that grass or you're going to burn up, the belts and the spindle again. So I don't know if anybody has like a certain mower and they're in Florida and they get it, but that they can recommend a way to defeat that issue. And it's only really bad like right after it rains or first thing in the morning when it's a lot, the grass is wet.
Yeah.
But it's a pain in the butt because it can take a normal yard that takes like 10 minutes to mow can end up taking like 45 because you have to stop and empty that thing out every time.
Ooh, yeah, that's a pain.
Yeah.
It sounds like a pain for sure. All right. So this is interesting because I think you sent me these to demonstrate the fact that you are left-handed. And so let's talk about your struggles with being left-handed and lawn equipment.
Oh yeah. That was, So that was the make it or break it for me. My very first day after I had, told my husband I wanted to try to help him, I went out there with him and, I said, he saw me try to start the equipment and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm left-handed and the equipment is only made for right-handed people. It's not, the pull cord is on the right side of the machine. So I'm like, so I guess I have to use my right hand. Well, I couldn't do it. He's just like holding the thing up and he's like, you can't just pull it. And I'm like, no, I can't. I'm like, that's not my dominant side. So I have to have the equipment, I put it on the ground and I take my right hand and I start it up and I've defeated that. That's fine. Now I can, I can start the equipment, but if you could see me using this edger, I look like a fool, but this is the way I have to use it because I don't feel it's not natural to me to hold it on the right side. So I hold it on the left side. So I'm standing between the edger and the, the grass that I'm edging. So it's just, I don't look like everybody else when I'm out there using that particular tool, but I feel like it still looks good. Chad says that it still looks good. So I'm able to get the job done, but I'll tell you, that is one thing I would love to know. And I've Googled this, but they don't make lawn equipment for left-handed people, period. Wow. Like, it does not exist.
That is something I didn't realize.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. So I put the message up there from Don Bernard. I think he's answering your question about you asked for suggestions on the mower. So I believe he's saying cut the guard on the deck back 6 inches or so.
The guard. Okay. Yeah. Well, here's the funny thing. I should have sent a picture of that. It literally is like falling off. It's probably got maybe another couple months before it's just going to completely break off anyway. So I think that's a good idea. Maybe we'll just saw it off.
Mommy,
I don't know. It's just, the thing is it gets beat up. Like these things in Florida, I don't know if it's Florida. And that's the thing. I see everybody's equipment looking all nice and shiny. And I'm like, there's no way I would clean it and it would look filthy again the next time we go out. It's just so much dirt and so much, wet grass and our equipment just gets beat up. I don't know how everybody stays so nice, but our mower has rust on it in places and the paint is chipped off. So I know exactly what he means. And that's a great idea.
Mom, look ahead.
All right. So you'll close out your slides here. Another nice picture of the family. I love seeing the kids out there with the parents. That's awesome. And that is Maddie out there with you.
Yep.
Maddie earlier. She's great.
She likes to ride on the mower. The blades were not on. Don't worry. Oh yeah.
So that's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Let's see if we have anything else on here for you. Okay.
Me.
My last thing that I really want to know is, since you all work year round in Florida, basically, how do you decide when to take a break, or do you take breaks for like family vacations or?
Yeah, that is a good question. And that is honestly been difficult. So to be quite honest, we don't really take long vacations as a family. The longest vacation we ever took was before we were doing this. We went out to California for about 11 days, I think it was. But we typically don't go on super long vacations for a couple reasons. One being, my daughter with disability doesn't like being away from home. She doesn't really do well in different environments for a long period of time. But financially, it's expensive. We live, in my opinion, in the most beautiful state. So like we have beaches within 45 minutes of us every direction. So to me, there's no other place I'd rather go on vacation. And when we do go, we typically will go for a max of 5 days. So we'll be gone, we'll go Monday through Friday. So that Saturday, Sunday, we can mow. And being that my husband's a teacher, he has the whole summer off. So we can do all of our clients if we want to. We prefer to actually do it on the weekends in the summer because everything during the week is much slower. So like if we want to go to the beach with the kids or we want to do Disney or whatever, it's slower. It's easier for us to work on the weekend and slower during the week. So sense. Typically when we go on vacation, we don't go more than 5 days so that we're available to still mow. But that is something we've talked about, that, if we ever wanted to go to Hawaii on a family trip or do a 7-day cruise or something, that would definitely be a challenge. And that's kind of another reason why, like, I'm kind of thinking down the road that if I do this like as a full-time income type deal, and I decide to make it a bigger business, maybe hiring some employees that I trust. But that's like questions I have for everybody else too that does this. How do you find good employees? How do you find people you trust, destroy your equipment? How do you find people that will do the job and not just, sit around and, not do it? That's something that we have definitely talked about, is the vacation thing for sure.
Yeah, those are all good questions. I mean, obviously I don't have a business, so I can't answer those for you. But again, you're on Instagram, and Dan just showed, he gave some suggestions about cleaning. He's a great resource. Dan the Lawn Man is his
awesome.
Title on Instagram, and he's in Florida, so he could probably answer a whole bunch of questions for you.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I love the community. The community's great. That's the thing. Like
Mommy.
when we had those issues, I was like, I'm gonna message Niles because I know they'll write me back and they know a lot, so it's really cool to have that. Hold on, Maddie, hold on.
Yeah, and so Emily is giving some comments about hiring people. I get that gut feeling thing. You sometimes, depending on when you get to that point, I can't imagine. It's really stressful because lawn equipment is super expensive. So
Yeah.
you have to think about all of those things.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I know there's, especially in Florida, there's so much money to be made. I mean, the grass never stops growing. So it's one of those industries that just, there will always be there. And I look at these big companies and I'm like, man, that's just, I don't know. It's like, how do they grow it that big? How do they get these employees? How do they trust that, and then you have to pay insurance. And then I'm thinking about my injuries. I'm like, oh my gosh, if like somebody gets injured, one of my employees,
that's big. That's huge.
Because I had a job out of college where I actually was a workers' comp claims adjuster for a major insurance company. And I will never forget, I had a case that I dealt with an injury with a landscape company. So I thought that popped into my mind too. I'm like, man, you got to have good insurance, and just, I'm sure it's a lot of expense, but I know there's money to be made. So something for me to educate myself on, as I grow with this.
Oh yeah. And like India says, she's a great, she always has some good advice. I mean, this is all a learning experience, and you're just into it. I think you said you're 6 months into it. Like, man, there's a lot, but I would imagine it's fun. And that's the difference between the regular, 9 to 5 and doing this. This is something that you really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I've not talked to anyone in the community that does not enjoy doing this.
Yeah. No, I actually really do. I never thought that I would, because my parents always used yard work as a punishment. Like my stepdad it was like, go out there and pull weeds. We had a house on a hill, so like that push mower was not fun. But now that first time I went out there with my husband, other than the stress of not being able to crank the equipment myself because I'm left-handed, I was like, man, now I see why you enjoy this. This is a lot of fun. And it's relaxing. And there's, nobody in your ear, nobody bothering you, nobody telling you what to do, really. Right. It's definitely, of everything I've done, and I've done a lot of things in my 40 years, it's probably the least amount of stress, really, truly. I mean, I've had to overcome, obviously, simple things like backing the mower off the trailer, being left-handed, that kind of stuff. Learning how to drive a zero turn was, a challenge also. But other than those things, and then just, if the mower gets a flat tire, that kind of stuff, setting aside normal stress within the job itself is definitely enjoyable. And I can definitely see how people enjoy it, for sure. For sure.
Yep. That's what I like to hear. And we'll end it. We'll go ahead and close it out here with Dan is just giving you some advice on the insurance.
Yeah, for sure.
Equipment. Yeah, he had, unfortunately, I think he had his stuff stolen.
Oh man.
And insurance wasn't a big help. Even though he had insurance, it was just he's still recovering from that. So that's a lesson learned.
That's awful. I wonder, so that's the thing. It's like, where do you keep that stuff? Do you keep it in one of those storage facilities, and aren't they insured? Like, that's just such a
yeah it's
terrible. I did see something though. I will say something really quick. I saw something, because I have a Jeep, and so Jeeps are like very highly sought after, like easily stolen vehicles. And so I saw somebody say, get an air tag and put an air tag in it. So I did that. I put an air tag in my Jeep. And I thought the same thing about our lawnmower too. I told my husband, I was like, if anybody ever wanted to steal the lawnmower, you put an air tag on it, then you can track it. And so you maybe install one or stick one somewhere within the trailer when you have your equipment. Then, at least if it gets stolen, you can track it to see where it ended up.
Yeah. Okay.
That's such a shame.
Yeah. It sucks. That people even would do stuff like that. But I see a lot of people post about that happening to them. So
it's awful.
But let's see. They're talking, so I'm gonna keep throwing these things out here. So Jar is saying always lock your stuff up. They had to turn the gas and take it up. Yep. It seems like this type of stuff happens because most people are responsible and they will lock their stuff up when, you know, they're away from it. But when you're out doing a job,
Yeah,
and
you
your
can't.
family's just right there, the
Yeah.
fact that people come by and just take your stuff at that point is just infuriating. Like,
Yeah, that is, I pray to God that doesn't happen to me while I'm out by myself. And that's the thing. Like, honestly, I've had those thoughts like, man, I'm, you know, in general, just being a female alone anywhere, anytime, you're a target. I mean, let's be honest. Unfortunately, that's the society that we live in. And, you know, me being out there by myself doing this job, you know, I mean, it is what it is. I will do my best to keep everything locked up. I'll do my best to, you know, have my head on a swivel, but you can't, you know, you can only do what you can do. And if somebody wants that mower bad enough, well, then I hope they needed it more than I did. That's just, you know,
yeah. Well, you know, I wanted to say thank you again for being on the show. You closed out my season this year. Hopefully we'll have an LOL season 3 next year. But this has been great meeting you all. The story is inspiring. I wish you all the best luck in the world, everybody.
thank you.
So we will definitely, everyone will keep in touch on Instagram and, you know, continue to support each other. And if there's anything that I can ever help you with, you know, you can reach out to me at any point. But with that said, thank you, chat, for being here. I appreciate you guys being here tonight, chatting with Kristin. It was fun. And we're going to go ahead and, yeah, Emily, I want you on season 3. Emily's in Canada. I want you on season 3, so we need to chat.
Yeah, awesome. Definitely. This is a great thing that you do.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
I love it. So with that, guys, we're going to say goodnight, and I will catch you later the next
All
time.
right. Thanks,
All right.
everyone. Bye.